So with that, let's get started into today's topic, which is how to gain confidence, get more students, and take your teaching to the next level. And today we have, as I've mentioned, Crystal Gray. She is a registered yoga teacher 500, hour 500, and she has been teaching since 2006. She's opened and sold a successful yoga studio and then built her business almost entirely online. Crystal loves to support new yoga teachers in gaining the confidence they need to step into their full potential as a yoga teacher and guide for their students so they can build a successful business that they are proud of. So she's going to be here telling us about her experiences and wisdom. And then just so you guys know, she's getting ready to launch an all-new Ultimate Yoga Teacher Mastermind. And we'll talk about this a little later in the webinar, but I'll drop a link in the chat if you're interested. So remember to use that chat. And Crystal, if you're ready, you can take it away.
Yay. Hi, I am ready. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay, Lizzie? Am I good?
Yep, you are all good.
All right, awesome. So thanks to Lizzie and thanks to beYogi for allowing me to come on here. I just love everybody at beYogi. They're awesome. And so, yes, I'm located an hour and a half south of Chicago. I'm seeing where everybody else is from. It's so fun to see everybody joining in from all different, areas. And the weather here today is beautiful. I think it's going to be like one of the last hot ones, because for the foreseeable future after today, it's going to start to feel, I think, a little bit more like fall, which I'm okay with, I guess, to a certain extent. I love seeing all the different trees and everything change colors. I live on an organic vegetable farm with my husband. That's what he does full time. And so we are on a farm. You might hear my dog barking if somebody pulls in. They're getting ready to go up to the farmer's market today. So there's a lot of hubbub going on around outside. So I called my husband. I said, just wait to come in until I'm done with all of this, please. All right. So as Lizzie said, we're going to get started here in a moment. What I would love for you to also let me know, besides where you're located, is how long have you been teaching? Or if you're not teaching yet, it's totally fine. How long, when did you get certified? Because I know a lot of people got certified during the pandemic, then it was like shut down, then you kind of don't get that opportunity to immediately start teaching, and it can be harder to get going again. So thank you. I'll be reading those as you post. All right. So as Lizzie said, today I'll be helping you to uncover what's been holding you back so that you can finally gain the confidence that you need to completely up-level your yoga teaching game and help more people in the process. So like she said, my name is Crystal Gray, and I've been teaching since 2006. And I've kind of done a lot of different things. I started teaching at fitness centers. I taught at a tennis center. I taught at some studios. I kind of did a little bit of everything. I taught at park districts and things like that. And then I opened up a yoga studio, and because it's kind of like, I don't know about how it is now, but at least back whenever I opened my studio, it was kind of like that was the next logical step. After you got a certain amount of years under your belt, you opened a studio. So I just kind of followed that because I didn't really know what else was possible, right? And I didn't really know how to dream about it. I love dreaming about things, and we'll definitely get into that a little bit today. But when you don't know what's possible, it's hard just to dream about all of the possibilities, right? And so I did the studio thing for a couple of years, and I liked it. I really loved creating a safe space for people, like a physical space. I really like to create an ambiance and have lighting and, scents and all of these different things. And people really enjoyed it. But I just felt like I wasn't reaching as many people as I wanted to. And I was also getting bogged down in kind of like the daily things and just trying to make enough money to cover rents and all of these overhead expenses and things like that, which kind of bogged me down energetically. And so then I decided to sell the studio, which I pretty much just sold it for the price of the props and everything that I had, which was fine. But before I sold it, I decided to start developing more of my online presence. So I already was online. I had, my Instagram probably at that time and my Facebook, of course, and things like that. But I decided to start a Facebook group because I was going live on this app called Periscope, and I loved live streaming, but I knew it's kind of started to turn into something else. Periscope did. So I was like, well, I'm going to create a Facebook group and then continue my lives in there, but only to people that like I know who are in the group. I've let them into the group. It's not just everybody in my local community, because I do live in a kind of a rural small town area, and I didn't want them knowing all my business because I was sharing a lot of my addiction journey. And the reason why I was doing that was really because I just felt that that was the next step that I needed to do in my healing. And I have always tried to follow my intuition as much as possible. And so I followed it and started doing that. And it really was the best thing that I could have done because it connected people to me, and they saw that I was actually a real person. I wasn't some sort of perfect yogi that, just was always living a perfect life. Like, yes, I have my ups and downs too. And I think that that made people feel really comfortable to learn from me and to take my classes. So right whenever I graduated from my first yoga teacher training, I had no idea what I was going to do with my certificate. Like I said, I was lucky enough to find some jobs because the market also wasn't as saturated back then. It was, I think, probably easier to find jobs in fitness centers and things like that, because it was about 16 years ago. And it was really, really great for experience, but not so much for making money because I was running all over the place, driving like up to 45 minutes for a class, and maybe I'd make $30, for that class. We lived up in the Chicago suburbs at that time. So I was just kind of going all over, and it really didn't take that long before I started to burn out. I don't know if anybody else resonates. If you do, put that in the comments. Let me know in the comments how many classes a week you are teaching, if you are teaching already. I would love to know. So once I came up with a way to teach less and make a lot more money, I started to get inspired again about teaching, and I was able to offer my students so much more because I know that we say this a lot, but because my cup was filled, right? And so I was able to teach more like 3 classes a week. And this was after I had my studio and everything, like 3 classes a week instead. And like I said, make way more money, which let me feel like I was living an inspiring life. I was able to go on trips. I was able to sign my daughter up for, extracurricular things and just pay for things that really enriched my life. So after doing that and starting to lead yoga teacher trainings and really starting to impart all of that on my yoga teacher trainees, I didn't want them running themselves ragged. I mean, the reason why usually we want to teach yoga is, yes, to help other people, but also for ourselves. I mean, because we love yoga, and it's helped us so much that we want to do as much yoga as possible. And a lot of times when we start teaching, our practice is the first to go, right? Which like nobody even thinks about, but it does. So it's important to find that balance so that you can continue to do your own practice, maybe not daily, and it might not look like a physical asana practice every day, but maybe it's meditation, and things like that. And so it's just really important, like I said, to find that balance. So I really do try to instill that into my yoga teacher trainings. And as Lizzie said, my mastermind. So I've come up with a couple of roadmaps, one of which I'll be sharing with you today, just to help you bypass some of the frustrations that I encountered, but just to start helping you put one foot in front of the other and start to propel your business to where you want it to be. And you might not think of what you're doing as a business or think of yourself as an entrepreneur, but really you are, because we don't just graduate and then all of a sudden opportunities fall into our lap. Sometimes that does happen, but it doesn't happen a lot. And it doesn't happen to everybody. So let me know in the comments now if you guys have any questions while I take a drink here.
Yeah, I can hop in here,
Yeah.
but Crystal, I mean, everyone's been, commenting how long they've been teaching since someone just started about a year ago, and then pandemic happened, a couple of 4, 7 years. And then people are saying that it's definitely a wide range. So we have a very wide range of people, but Corinne says, I'm currently subbing when I can this week, but will hopefully be teaching 2 to 3 classes soon. Someone just mentioned they teach 22 classes and she said, love it, but exhausting. And I'm sure I can just feel that from reading it. Heidi said, I find teaching 2 to 3 times a week is my sweet spot to not burn out. So really loving how everyone is being super open. I feel like this webinar will be really great for people to just be open and tell about, how it's hard to manage all that. But no specific questions yet.
Okay, cool. And I think it's important to remember, yes, we've all been teaching for different amounts of time, but it's always important, I think, to come back and to reignite your dream, to remember why you started in the first place so that you don't get kind of stuck in a rut. And I think it's also important to know that, yes, my sweet spot is also 2 to 3 classes a week, where some teachers might be like, oh my gosh, how does that even, that's not enough. And while, like she said, somebody's doing 22 a week, it just depends on, we have different seasons of our lives, first of all, and then different seasons of our yoga teaching lives, where sometimes, that's fine for you to do. And it's not necessarily going to run you ragged because you're getting so much from those classes. So it's just important, I think, to check back in with yourself every once in a while and to see if you are on the right track. So when we take a yoga teacher training, and I will refer to yoga teacher trainings probably from now on as YTT. I was saying that a whole bunch, a couple of weeks ago, and somebody's like, what's a YTT? And I was like, oh, it's yoga teacher training. So just in case, if you haven't heard that before, it's really only the first step. And it's actually kind of a pre-step to the other steps. And I think that we're often told that that's enough, get your certificate, and then everything will just happen. But you quickly realize that doesn't stand true, right? And unless you just want to deepen your knowledge of yoga, which is also, that's a total honorable reason to take a yoga teacher training. But if you really want to help as many people as you can, you have to do the rest of these steps, which are get yourself feeling confident. So if you want to take notes, you can write these down, but get yourself feeling confident, which I'm going to explain that, which will help you to get more students. Obviously, we want more students, and then to take it to the next level. So all of those they're not super defined, but we're going to find more clarity with them over, our time together today. So why would you take a yoga teacher training, but then not prepare yourself to take the next step? Now, it's really not your fault. So don't blame yourself if you went through a teacher training and just thought, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then everything else will fall into place, because most trainings don't teach those steps. Their main mission is to certify you to teach yoga, right? And we only have 200 hours in most foundational yoga teacher trainings. So that means that a lot of trainings leave you with the impression that since you got your certificate, students will be banging on your door asking you to teach, or that other opportunities will just come to you. And most likely, like I said, you see that's not the case. And then reality kind of starts to set in. Now, you may be one of the lucky ones where friends or family heard you got certified and they ask you to teach. But if you're not prepared, it might not be the stepping stone that propels your business forward like it could be. So let me know in the comments if you've ever felt lost in your yoga teaching journey. I certainly have. So don't feel afraid to put down the truth. Yes, for sure. Okay, good. I'm glad that I am not the only one. And I think it's important to see the comments and to see what other people put, because a lot of times we feel, because I have a lot of calls with people, like one-to-one calls before people sign up for my programs, because it is a big investment of time and money. And a lot of them feel like they're the only ones that, won't make it, or it won't work for them, or they're not good enough. And it's like, no, you're not alone. Tons of other people think this exact same way. Yes, definitely. I think we all go through it as well. All right. So step number 1 after your YTT, gain confidence. Duh, right? But if you aren't confident, it's really, really hard to put yourself out there to teach. And if you aren't teaching, then you've wasted the time, money, and energy you put into your YTT. If you signed up to teach, you also aren't fulfilling your dharma as a yoga teacher, which is probably to help people through the power of yoga, like yoga helped you, right? You might not feel confident at all, but I want to remind you that you already have confidence within you. You might not think so, but let me ask you a question. You can answer in the comments if you want. Didn't it take courage for you to sign up for your yoga teacher training? And you have to have some amount of confidence inside yourself to have courage, right? So you do have some of it within you already. What gave you the courage and the confidence to sign up for your YTT? Okay, let me frame it another way. When you signed up, you probably had some sort of vision of what you dreamed you could do after your YTT. If you remember, what was that dream? Let me know in the comments if you want to. You don't have to, but those of you that want to answer and play along, you for sure can. You can also write this down just on a piece of paper for your own benefit to look at later. But what was that dream? Teaching a few weekly classes. No dream is better or worse than another. It doesn't matter how big it is. Was it leading retreats? Was it teaching workshops? Was it having online community coaching? Was making enough money to fund vacations or other fun things, or quitting your full-time job and doing what you love? All right, so just think about that. Okay, now I'm going to have you think about kind of a tricky thing, okay? A hard one to maybe look at. But what made you give up on that dream if you did? Whenever you started your YTT, or maybe going through it, your dream kind of started to get big and you wanted to do these big things for you. But then maybe you either gave up on the dream or you scaled it back. Did you start sharing that dream maybe with people in your family or your friend circle? And maybe they were like, I don't know if that's going to work. Or maybe it was just that voice in your head. It was like, who are you to do this? What makes you think you can do that? Right? So what was it that made you feel like you weren't good enough to have that dream become a reality? I think it's just important to realize that, because then when you know it and you identify it, you can start to tackle it. Okay. So now let me just check the comments real quick. Oh, yeah. Self-limiting beliefs for sure. A possibility of it not working out. Yeah, definitely. So it's like, well, if I don't fully put myself out there, then I can't fail. Right. And I've spoken with a lot of women, and a lot of them said, I just don't want this to be one more thing that I fail at. Maybe they've tried like an MLM, or they've tried, all these little things. They've wanted to create things and none of them really panned out. And they don't want this to be yet one more thing that they fail at. And I mean, a lot of people could look at a lot of the things that I've done and label them as a failure, but they've all been stepping stones to get me where I am now. When I graduated my YTT, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm going to be leading retreats in Costa Rica. I'm going to be, leading yoga teacher trainings that get really amazing reviews online, and having a mastermind. Like, I would have never in a million years thought that I could do that, but I kept going and I've stayed the course, and I'm just like, I'm going to freaking make this happen. Right. So now that leads into getting more students. So let's go back to, I mentioned how yoga helped you. So before we start to kind of see where you were, when I began doing yoga, I was probably about, I don't know, 22, something like that. And I was in a toxic relationship, an emotionally, verbally abusive relationship. I met him whenever I was an addict. I was addicted to crystal meth and cocaine for about a year when I lived in Los Angeles. And then he moved back to Chicago with me. And so that's when I found yoga. Well, actually, I did yoga one time out in California. And I remember being like, whoa. And I just had a book. It was a book that was sitting on my shelf for years. And I did some of the exercises. I did some of the really weird, there was like eye movements in it, and all the super woo-woo stuff. And then afterward, I'm like, whoa, like that made me feel kind of like high, for lack of better term, like it gave me that same feeling, and it just made me feel good. It made me feel better. And whenever I started doing it, whenever I moved back to Chicago with my not so great boyfriend, I was doing it too. And there was I wasn't consistent, but it kept giving me these little things like, there's something to this, right? And I was, even though after I broke up with him and got with my then, my now husband, I continued to do it. And I got more and more consistent with it. And what it really helped me to realize was that everything I needed was within me. And I was still totally struggling with, it wasn't like hard drugs, but I was smoking tons of cigarettes. I was still drinking most days of the week. And that continued for a long time, which also made me feel like a complete imposter when I was trying to teach yoga, and made me feel like I wasn't good enough. So whenever I did start finally sharing my story and just seeing how it actually connected people to me more, rather than making them run away from me, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to be able to show up so much more authentically. And it gave me the courage and the confidence to do that, which helped me to get more students. So what I would love to know from you is, how did yoga help you? Where were you before you started doing yoga? Now, of course, you can share in the comments, but it might be a little bit too vulnerable, personal for you to share. But think about that. Take some notes, write it down. Where were you? How did yoga help you through that time? Or, it's like, well, even if I didn't find yoga during my addiction, maybe I found it a few years later, but it still helped me to heal a lot of those wounds, right? And to get over the guilt and the shame and the not being good enough, and really using the physical practice to open me up to the philosophy, and then using the philosophy in my everyday life, which really, to me, is where the true transformation was in my life, right? So do you feel like maybe there's other people in the world that are now where you were, maybe a year or two ago? Are there people that are struggling how you were struggling? Now think about how much easier it would have been for you if you had someone back when you were struggling the most to support you and maybe give you some tips on how they got through it. And we're like, man, it's okay. Like, I've been there. We're only human. It's fine. This is life. Stuff happens. It probably would have saved you a lot of time and anguish to have that person, to have that light, even if it's one yoga class a week where you could go and just forget about all of those things that you're struggling with just for an hour, right? So what if you could be that person for those people who are struggling? How would that make you feel if you were able to do that for people? How would that make you feel? Right? I would love to be that person. Totally, Sonia. Yes, of course. That's like what we all want. Like, how fulfilling would that be if you could be that? So I want you to know that you are able to do that right now. With only the skills that you have right now, you're able to do that. And the world needs you to do that. So it's my opinion that the universe will only give you dreams that you can actually fulfill. So if you have the dream, you can accomplish it. It's part of your soul's purpose. You just have to believe in it. The worst thing in the world is for you to forget about your why you wanted to do this in the first place, because that's the only thing that will help you keep going through all the hard things that take tons of confidence, like putting yourself out there. Sometimes when I forget my why, or I want to gain clarity around it, because it can shift and it can change, I come back to how I want to feel, because I know that if I focus on that feeling, it'll help attract things to me that will make me feel that way. For example, I love to feel inspired and excited and full of wonder. I now know that leading retreats will give me those feelings. And so I found ways to lead retreats. Now, that didn't happen overnight. I didn't graduate YTT thinking I was going to lead sold out retreats to Costa Rica. When I graduated from YTT, I knew I wanted to feel like I was helping others while feeling proud of myself, because that was a feeling that I didn't have for myself for a long time. And I wanted to feel inspired. Teaching weekly classes did help fulfill that in the beginning. So again, it's coming back to it and reassessing where you are and where you want to be, how you want to feel now. And is what you're doing still serving that? So I still love feeling those same feelings, but I achieve it in different ways. I support yoga teachers in believing in themselves and to not give up on their dreams, because that's the worst thing in the world to me, is for somebody to give up on their dream. So the point is that you don't have to keep doing the same thing you've always done. You may really focus now on teaching one weekly class and filling it. Then you may decide you want to start doing some workshops or coaching or retreats, whatever it might be. The key is to put one foot in front of the other and keep going. Don't stop. So, you think if I wouldn't have started teaching weekly classes that I'd be leading retreats, 205 hours. Like, I had to start somewhere. I would not be where I am. I wouldn't wake up one day and be like, yes, today I'm going to start leading 200-hour yoga teacher trainings. I mean, think about confidence. That took so much confidence. And then to teach 500 hours. Oh my gosh. I was like, I don't know if I can do it, man. But then I was like, I have to do it. I have to do it, because if I don't do it, then people won't be able to benefit from my teaching and the confidence that I instill in people. So the moral of the story for that is to keep going. And I still totally feel scared sometimes. I still have to muster up the courage to do certain things. It never goes away. You just learn that pushing yourself through those limiting beliefs will get you to the next level. The outcome is so worth it that you take a deep breath and you go for it, right? Like right before this call, I was talking to Lizzie and we were just checking the audio and I'm like, I'm nervous, and it's not that I'm not nervous to do these things, but I know in my heart that I need to do it because it's part of my mission. And if I don't do it, I'm not going to reach people that could really benefit from what I have to offer. And to me, that would be a shame. All right. So then we're going to move into the next level. Lizzie, if you had anything to add real quick before we get into the last point.
No, I think we're all good to get into that last point. I just wanted to remind everyone, take a moment too in this little second to think about a question you maybe had for Crystal, because we'll definitely have some time in the last 15-20 minutes. So ask a question and Crystal can probably help you work through it, or we can try to get to as many as possible. So just wanted to put that out there. But Crystal, you're doing amazing. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, awesome. Okay, so the next level, something to remember about the next level is it's never going to go away. Like, you're never going to attain it and be like, okay, I'm done. So the next level will never go away. When you reach it, you'll eventually be ready for more. And that's the amazing thing. You never need to stop learning and growing. In fact, you need to keep doing that so that you can inspire your students to do the same. You've probably been to yoga classes before where it's like this teacher is not inspired and you are not feeling any sort of inspiration from it. So don't you feel like learning and growing is one of the reasons why we're here? I mean, for sure I do. Maybe you don't feel that way, and that's okay. But what better to do that than by teaching yoga and helping others to do it at the same time? You'll continue to take your teaching and your personal practice to the next level by pushing through those limiting beliefs, feeling the fear, and doing it anyway, right? You see all these memes saying those things, and it's so true. It's not made up. So this will give you the confidence that you need to put yourself out there, create opportunities, and make more money doing what you love. So I said in the beginning, I'd give you a roadmap, and it's super simple. It's really, a couple of questions and just some things to do. So write these down if you want. What is your why? So keep coming back to that when you need courage. And that could be even like your mission statement of why you want to teach yoga. Okay, that's the first thing, your why. It'll also keep giving you clarity around if what you're doing right now is the right thing, if it's helping you reach your goals. The next one is to keep putting one foot in front of the other. So how can you take one action step each day that keeps you on your path, that gets you in the direction that you're going? Do one thing every day. Okay. And the next thing is to just remember and realize that that feeling of being super scared never goes away. You just learn that it's worth it to push through it and do it anyway. And then lastly, continue to invest in yourself, right? This doesn't have to be huge, high-priced offerings or anything like that, but it could just be invest in your personal practice. It could be invest in, continue reading about yoga philosophy. Try to read one yoga book per month. I don't know, whatever it might be, but investing in yourself, in your own practice, in your personal development. That's such a big thing. So like Lizzie said, I would love to know if you have any questions for me. I'm super happy to stay on and chat, but I'm so thankful that everybody is here. And Lizzie did mention my mastermind, but I also got a free 5-day boot camp. And I think she's going to share the link for that in the comments. We are in day 3 of it right now, but you can still go back. It's in my Facebook group. So you can go back and watch all of the other trainings as well. It's free. It's in there. Watch at your own time. And it's just really, really fun. It's a lot like this. It's just kind of taking this a couple of steps further.
Yeah, my question, Crystal, was to ask about the boot camp a little bit and learn I know you're doing giveaways. I know you're doing a lot of fun things, but I would love for you if you could share some of the topics that you're running through. And yeah, and then in the next 2 days, because it's in the middle. So in the next 2 days, what kind of topics and things that will you be doing?
That's a good question. It's really, Lizzie, it's really, like I said, taking this even further, just kind of going a little bit more down, kind of diving in, helping you to find more clarity. But really the main thing is helping to reignite your dream, like reignite your fire and your passion. And maybe, if you've been feeling stuck in a rut, help you to re-clarify what it is and maybe change course a little bit and get headed in the right direction. And to build your confidence and to be around other people that have the same kind of struggles and that also dare to dream big. I mean, because a lot of people don't. And then you can feel really alone when you're like, oh, well, I did kind of have this big dream, but I guess that it's, not going to work out. It's like, no, forget all that noise. Get around other people that dream big and we'll lift you up and get you there.
Is it I'm reading a comment, but she or he posted it to the hosts and panelists. If you wanted to send that message again, Isaiah or ISAH, excuse me. She's apparently
she's in it. I don't know how to say it either. I think it's Isa. It's such a pretty name. Yes, she's in boot camp. Yay!
I might just repost what she said to everyone so everyone can see what she said. She was just like, come to the boot camp. It's so fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Into the next question of, you've talked about this mastermind, and this boot camp challenge is to kind of get you in the right, headspace, right, to get into that mastermind. But tell us a little bit more about what that looks like. I know there's experts and live interviews and things like that, but tell us a little bit more.
Okay. And I mean, the boot camp, it doesn't really matter if you join the mastermind or not, but it will, if you do want to join the mastermind, you definitely want to do that boot camp first so that you do have that clarity and you are in the right headspace. But even if you don't want to join, it's going to definitely help to give you that confidence to propel you forward. Before I dive into it, Lizzie, I just see a couple questions over here that I was going to answer first. Is that okay?
Go for it.
Okay. So I see, just in case people don't want to hear about the mastermind, I want to answer the questions. So what platforms do you think serve best as far as reaching the most people? So Sonia or Sonia, that's a really good question. And I hear that one a lot. And it's totally about, a couple things. One, where is your audience? And two, what platforms do you like using? Like, what platform do you get on and you want to post every day? Is that on Facebook or is that on Instagram? Is that on TikTok? What is that on? Because if you don't like posting on it, people are going to either feel that, or it's going to become like, oh God, I have to post on here today. You know, it's like going to be a time suck and an energy drain, and you're going to hate it. It needs to be something that lights you up. For me, it's my Facebook group. I freaking love my Facebook group. I don't know why. It's just so fun in there. And I love going live in there. I love supporting people in there. And I love building community. And so that's what really works for me. And that's pretty much where I built my entire business, was from my Facebook group. So yeah. Okay. Let me read this question. Okay. Hopefully I can say this out loud. Okay, so someone asked, I feel confused as to the why. I started wanting to be of service to others, but now I am measuring my success on how many students or money I make. Okay, I mean, this is totally, it's a personal thing, you know. I don't think you have to have tons of students to be successful or make tons of money to be successful. I think that's success is a very personal thing. And I mean, if you're having just one dedicated student, you know, that comes every week or whatever, you're obviously making a difference in their life. And to me, if you're making a difference in one person's life, then that's a success. You know, I don't know if that answers your question, but I think maybe you just need to do some journaling on it and figuring out, what is it that you want from this? And how can you get that? I see some other praises for the boot camp. Thank you. Okay. I'm not seeing questions. So if anybody else has any questions, let me know, but I'm going to, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the mastermind. Okay. So with the mastermind, first of all, it goes completely with my mission. And my mission at this point in my life coincides with what people tell me that I'm good at and what I've given them in the 200 and 500 hour programs that I've already been leading for years. Right. And that is that I give people confidence. I make people feel like they are good enough. I'm totally down to earth and humble and open-minded, and know that everybody is we've all been doing different things for all of our lives, right? And we all have unique gifts to offer. And I'm really good at seeing what those are, but then also coming up with ideas that maybe you didn't see. I'm really good at thinking outside of the box. And then I'm also really good at networking, which I absolutely love. And that's what landed me here today. You know, so I love kind of finding all of these experts that I've spent 16 years cultivating. So it takes a while, right, to build these relationships. And so really taking everything that I've learned and all of the success that I've gotten, and just kind of helping you to bypass a lot of the mistakes and the time sucks and everything that I've wasted a lot of my time on. I mean, really, it's never a waste of time. I figured out a lot of stuff, but you know, I want to get you guys there faster. And so every week I do a group coaching call. It's a lot like this, really. It's on Zoom, but people, you know, I'll be able to see you. And each week we have a different focus. And this is just with me coaching. And we talk about goal setting. That's always the first call of the month. Then we do, and we have 2 times in case you can't make the Sunday call. We got a Monday evening call. Goal setting, money mindset, teaching skills. I'm really trying to remember. And then yoga beyond the asana. So that's everything beyond, you know, the physical poses. So that's what I love. Those are the things I love to do, because I love to talk about sequencing and alignment and cueing. And that's kind of in my wheelhouse. I'm good at business too, yes, but I'd rather leave that to experts and teach about teaching and all of those things, and building the confidence and the personal growth and the personal development. And then I'll bring in experts. So a different expert each month, focusing on different things. So one of Lizzie's partners, somebody that she works with, will be coming on and talking about, you know, all things insurance. And then I'm hoping to bring in some legal. Did you want to add anything to that, Lizzie?
No, I was just going to say, Joe, you guys have probably heard of Joe Fagan. I'm talking to all of our attendees. So he's our insurance expert. So we're excited to be a part of this mastermind, in a sense, to just tell all of tell everything about insurance, why you need it, what it is, what does a claim look like, how to file a claim, all that good stuff. So just wanted to add that little piece in there because I'm here. But Crystal, keep going.
Definitely. And, to bring in like my friend Allison's going to come on. She's going to talk about building a local audience because we all kind of want to do different things. And so I want to bring all of these people into one place that would cost you way more money to try to go out. And then I don't know if you've ever bought a course or something and it was, $1,000 or more dollars. And you're like, man, I really don't like I don't resonate with this teacher or whatever. So hopefully I can help you to bypass all that stuff. And if you feel like you still have more to learn around that, at least you really resonate with that teacher and you feel comfortable investing that money with that person. But I'm really hoping that this is the last program that you're ever going to need in order to get you where you want to go. Of course, you can still learn, still have, invest with education and everything like that, but you don't need more certificates in order to reach your dreams. You'd probably be surprised to know that some of the biggest yoga people on YouTube and even probably Instagram and things like that, they only have a 200-hour certificate. So it's not all of those certificates that are necessarily going to get you where you want to go. It's really that personal development, that confidence. It's having that support system to keep going. So it's a year-long mastermind because I want people who are really going to invest in themselves, dig deep and do the work because I want to have amazing results for everybody, not people that are just like, well, I'm give it a little bit of a try. It's like, no, we're going to do this. We're going to get you there.
Question comes from Beth. She says, is there a lifetime access to the material after
100%? Yep. So while like the fun part's hosted in the Facebook group, because I love Facebook groups. So if you don't have Facebook, just create some, weird account with some different name, whatever, we'll get you in there because that's where I think the fun stuff happens. But we'll be adding everything to a private membership so that you don't always have to go on Facebook. You can go into the membership site and be like, okay, I really want to learn about business. Okay, I really want to learn about the art of teaching private yoga. How do I build a business around teaching private yoga? Which is one of the best ways, I'm just going to tell you right now, to make some moolah and to teach less and make more money, right? Yeah, good question.
Yeah, this is amazing. I'm gonna, last call for questions here. I am going to start wrapping this up a little bit. But again, Crystal, thank you so much for joining our webinar series. This webinar was an amazing thing, I think, for some journaling exercises. So I'm excited to share the recording and let people rewatch it and, really dive into some of these thought processes. Like I said, this is recorded, so you guys will all get this tomorrow in an email with all of the links we talked about today to make sure that you can connect with Crystal, look at her mastermind, see if it works for you, and connect with beYogi if you'd like to. Yeah. Alrighty. So it looks
like, if not, I'll still see you in my Facebook group and I'd love to connect with you and, continue our relationship, whether you decide to go with the mastermind or not. It doesn't matter. I still would love to have you in my community.
Yeah. And then Crystal, I'll connect with you to get a link to that Facebook group to, look into.
They'll get it. If they sign up for that boot camp, they'll be immediately directed to the Facebook group.
Perfect. Then everyone go to that challenge and sign up. Alrighty. Well, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everyone. Enjoy the weather, go outside and just take some deep breaths. Crystal, thank you again.